Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Zubin Dev Sharma, and I am a senior consultant gastroenterologist as well as hepatologist. So, today, my topic for discussion with everybody would be something which is very interesting and very common, something which affects a lot of people. Now, I'll try to tell you some ways by which you can reduce abdominal bloating. So, let's talk of abdominal bloating. So, abdominal bloating, that means bloating of your belly when you feel full or when you feel too gaseous, when you are in discomfort, when you're not able to walk too much around, is a pretty common symptom. It happens on a very routine basis. Some of it is actually just a normal variation. That sometimes we eat too much or we are not exercising. And sometimes it can be a mimicker of a disease also. What we have to do and try to identify is where it is a normal variation of our day-to-day habits or day-to-day practices, whereas where it is actually a marker for disease. And sometimes it can be confusing to differentiate them both. But what are the common home methods by which we can try to reduce it? So in adults, if you have abdominal bloating or you feel bloated at some part of your day, there can be various common small reasons behind it. The first and the commonest is partial lactose intolerance, that is milk intolerance. Lot of adult population, in fact 1 in 3 you see across the world, by the time they reach 25 or 30 years of age, we almost always become partially lactose intolerant because the lactase enzyme that usually decreases as we grow up. It is at the highest functional value in a child, in an infant, and as you grow older, it starts to lose its value. And if we consume too much amount of milk, that means that when you waste more than 2 or 3 liters of milk, it can actually give rise to problems of bloating as well as diarrhea. So basically, in those patients, milk is functioning as a simple laxative and it might make you feel bloated. Now, second most common thing is if you eat vegetables which are like cruciferous vegetables, sprouts, beans, they usually cause increased amount of sulfide, increased amount of methane in the intestine, and the patient may feel bloated because of it. So we need to have a balanced diet and we need to cut down on legumes, on beans and sprouts and all those things if we are feeling too much bloated. Now, third most common thing is, something called as abdominophrenic dyssynergia. What it means simply is that our abdominal muscles are not having enough tone or not exercised enough, and we usually have a bulging out of your stomach, usually by the evening when you are tired, and this leads to a feeling or a perception of something getting bloated. So for that, I think diaphragmatic breathing, exercising in a daily manner, exercising your abdominal muscles, increasing the tone of your abdominal muscles, that actually helps you to manage the symptoms of bloating. Fourth most common thing is if you are chronically constipated. If you suffer from constipation, then your large intestine tends to become dilated and filled up with feces. So for that, I think the best home remedies would be that if you take enough water, if you take enough fiber in your diet. If you're not consuming at least 3 to 4 liters of water in a day and not having enough of your leafy greens or fiber, you may have constipation, and when you have constipation, you will obviously feel bloated. The next, commonest reason would be is somebody who has something called as a dysbiosis. What is dysbiosis? Is that we usually have bacteria in our small intestine and large intestine, and when the balance between the good and the bad bacteria is lost, and the bad bacteria tend to overgrow, and what is called as a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or SIBO, and this gives rise to a perception of increased amount of gases in the stomach as well as bloating and diarrhea. If we are consuming too much of onions and other similar products, we may have too much of sulfide gases in the intestine, and that may also give rise to a feeling or a perception of bloating. So these are the commonest reasons that somebody might have when they are feeling bloated. And these are all the things that you can do at home. Cut down on the milk, cut down on the beans and sprouts and all those stuff. Cut down on onions and similar products. And if you have dysbiosis, the best home remedy would be to eat fermented products like curd. And these things can help you to regain that balance between the good and the bad bacteria and help you with the symptoms. And not to forget, one of the most important thing is to exercise daily, because exercise, particularly your abdominal exercise, it doesn't only help you in every other thing in your heart and your brain. It's vital and it's one of the most important things you can do to maintain your gut health. So do all this stuff at home. But if you still have problems related to bloating, always remember that it can be because of certain diseases also. And in those patients, we have to visit the doctor. We have to discuss with him that we have tried all this stuff, but it's still not working out. And then we have to get evaluated for it. So if you have any more doubts on bloating, any more queries, you can always contact us, message us, give a comment. We'll definitely try to reply back.